Hello and welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to present to you a video series on how I built this application, the Messenger clone, from scratch. It's not going to be your usual tutorial because it's just way too long. So instead of having me explaining every single line of the code, I'm going to choose specific topics and themes and code that I'm going to explain. So if you think of the whole application as a book, I will, instead of explaining every single word, I will only explain certain chapters with summaries. So then if I look at the title, my next question would be, why would you use iOS 14 at this stage? With so much SwiftUI content, using iOS 14 and mostly UIKit seems really weird, but the truth is that it doesn't, because if you look at most code bases today, the thing is that most of them are heavily focused on UIKit still. This may change in 2 years from now, but at the moment, a year from now, or even 2 years from now, most companies will still focus on UIKit. And even though most phones are on iOS 15 and up, most code bases still support older iOS versions. So I thought, why not make an application that would reflect more of those code bases rather than just make the newest UI just make the newest shiny thing. So if you think that sounds useful, then stick around for the demo. See, on this side of the screen, I have a simulator that is an account that is logged in, which is me. Nice. And on this other side, we have the application not started, because I want to show you the whole onboarding process or you can call it authentication process. So let's create an account on this simulator. So tap the message application, you see the splash screen coming, nice. This splash screen is actually a SwiftUI screen embedded in a UI view controller. So that's pretty nice. So let's try the functionality. If I tap here, you can see the whole view moves up and I get this focused border just like Messenger, nice. If I type something, you can see that the placeholder moves above the text itself, which is really nice. And it moves back when I clear it. Really nice. If I clear it, we lose focus and the placeholder goes back. Same with password. I can type here. I can show, hide, whatever. It doesn't matter. Smooth. But as I promised, we're going to create a new account. So create new account. Actually, here too is also SwiftUI. So I think that I don't quite remember. I don't think the title. This one is from UIKit, but I think from here to here is a SwiftUI view embedded in this UI view controller. So if I go one step next, and you can see we have the same button down below. And it's the same as Messenger. So if you tap it, and if you type continue creating account, we stay where we are. But if you tap login, you will pop the whole authentication flow and go back to login screen. Nice. Okay, go back, get started. Okay, so now we can write with the current moving. It's coming to the cinema. So let's go with Robert. Open, but before I finish the name, let me show you. If I just have one letter here and I type next, you can see that it isn't valid and we get a nice response back. Same goes if it's empty. You see we get this. O. Okay, go back to O. So what's really nice about this, what Messenger doesn't have, is that we actually get live feedback. So if I type P now, you see it goes away. I don't need to tap the next button. Okay, so but if I go with a number, doesn't work. And if I go with a special character, doesn't work. Really nice. Up next, here we actually have the same text field. If I tap here, you can see instead of typing text, now we can change the age. If I just leave it here, you see it calculates from the current date and we get 26-year-old. That's right. So I can tap this away just like the other text field. And if I tap here, you see we get this nice sheet. And what is interesting about this sheet is that on iOS 15, you get, I think it's new methods. Yeah, new methods for half sheet. And I think this one too, where like 2, 3, there's like 75% of the screen. But a normal sheet, like it's in iOS 14, it stops here and you can't do anything more. So since we're on iOS 14, I actually had to create this one from scratch. And it works really nicely. So you can see here, I can pull it down, I can pull it back. If I do a hard, it snaps nicely like it should. If I do a hard down, it goes away. If I open it now, but I release it and it isn't down by 50%, it goes back. But if I release it here and it's below 50%, it moves away. So really nice. I can tap next and let me show you. This is interesting. So I can go here and go with a temp mail. Yes, yeah. Come on. There. Okay. So I paste in this mail and I remove 2 letters. And I type next now. You see we get the same feedback, but now the feedback is different. We get the email feedback instead of a name feedback. And what this actually is that I built a protocol that anything text and conform to a text object. I don't know about SwiftUI text field, but if I made a text view also conform to this protocol, that text view could also use this validation, same way as this text field does. So, and the reason we can do it so nicely is because I created a protocol that text object needs to conform to, and each type of validation is a struct, so no classes, which is nice since structs are more lightweight. And to choose between each of the validation, I created a sort of factory with enums. So you can say like, do I want the email validation? Do I want the number validation? Do I want the password? Do I want the name? Now we can choose between them. And what's essentially doing the validation, this is a combined pipeline that's observing our text field and using the filters that I created and say like, is this a mail or not? Is this a name or not? Is this a phone number or not? And it works really nicely. So I do it the O. If I do it O there, now you can see because CO is UK. So .com, it should be nice. Okay. Now I can go with password. I also have a validation here, but you don't need to see. I've already shown you, so it works. Okay, let's go next. And you see just agree here, normal stuff. Actually, on the sheet itself that you saw earlier, it was the same thing with you could tap the hyperlink and you can tap here, privacy and policy, Meta, Facebook, whatever. You see, get every blah, 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 this usual stuff that nobody cares about. Okay, so let's go back and tap I agree. Oh. Okay, smooth. So you see, it actually created an account there. Very interesting. Because now we created an account. An account is created and that Messenger acts the same way. But for us to use the account, we have to verify it with our mail. So let's go here. Do one refresh. It should work, please. Come on. There you go. tap this one, you tap this one. This is from, I use Firebase and Firestore to, oh, actually it's the Firebase Authentication to do this. Now you can see the email has been verified. You can, okay, go back and now open the application again and you see we are verified. Really nice. Okay, so next thing I want to show you is, of course, how you can start a new chat. So let's start a new chat like you would do on the Messenger application. So here I have suggested users. You see, I can't get the account I just created. Robert Oppenheimer isn't here, and that's really nice. And the same goes for myself. You see, I will not get myself here as a suggested user, which is really nice. Then tap new message. Okay, we can search for me, or you can tap me in the suggested section. Okay, you see I up here, really nice. And tap this one, we get this nice animation, really cool. You say, hi man, how you doing? And you see the keyboard went away. That's just because on the simulator. On a real device, the keyboard will stick here and be as it should be. So don't worry about that. So if I send a message, you see, Robert Oppenheimer sent a message to me. How nice. Cool. Now I can sell to him. Great. Looking, oh, snap. Looking forward to your movie. Cool. Nice. You see, we get, this is also cool. I like this one. So we get me in, the recipient gets his image next to his last message in that section. If you understood that. And each section is split by either 3 hours or a day. So if I send a new message 24 hours from now or 3 hours, I think it's 24. I don't remember how I split it, but I think it's 24. Then this will create a new section and I will get a second image in that section. So if I send a new message here, yo, 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 you can see that my image move one place down because this one is now the last message for the recipient in that section. Cool. Okay, if I tap here, you see it goes back. Nice. If I tap this image, you see. So I considered adding images, but dealing with PH assets, which is what you do when you deal with local videos or images, it just takes so long. So I just created this 3x4 rectangle that would represent the images if we had images instead. It should be easy to implement if you write all that code, but it just take way too long. This code is already too long. So, but it's the same behavior as Messenger. You see, tap here, nice. You get this one, this nice layout. If I tap the text field, you see it goes back again, really smooth. And we also have this nice behavior to here too. So if I want to toggle the menu out, you can see, boom, it goes here. I go here, go back. You see the menu also. It hides and show based on if the text field is active or not. Now it's active, but we wanted now to show the options that we have. But if I go here and back or start do this or start typing again, it goes away. Really nice. So disable it. I can cancel, but I want to show you one more thing. So I didn't make this so you could create a group chat. But if you want to implement it, it wouldn't be hard from what I just have written in the code. So you type, for example, Elon Musk here. Boom. We will get the data related to the first person. But if you want, you could add so that if we add a second name here, it will be a group chat instead, and that it wouldn't be too hard for you. So it's already, you can say in some sense prepared if you want to implement that. so it wouldn't be too difficult. Okay, nice. I can remove him here. Nice, you see, and I can remove also with tapping here. Cool. I can do it like this, and I can show you also like this. Cool. You see, now we get the data again related to the first person instead of a group chat combined. Like I said, which you can implement if you want to. So let's remove Musk, remove jobs. Let's cancel this one and show you the other features. Now I can search for current chats too, if I want to. Or no, I can search for users just like Messenger. If I tap here, I use the UI search controller and show the results in a different view. So I can say Elon does the search, nice. I can do Steve Jobs does the search, nice. I can cancel, and it works perfectly. I can also tap me here, and I go to a chat, and I can also tap me here, and it goes to the chat. Really cool. And what is I think is really important about this screen, and about the chat itself is that all these screens, this one, and you see this layout here, and this layout here, and this layout here, all of them are actually collection views, but with the new list configuration. Even though we are on iOS 14, I wanted to use the best tools possible for the version that we are on. So with iOS 14, we have compositional layout, we have list configuration. So we don't need table view. We can use the list configuration if we want to. And I can show you that this is actually a list. So if I do this too, you can see we have this, same as Messenger. I can tap more, I get an action here, action, and I can get the cancel action. Nice. Tap here, goes out. Really nice. So lastly, let me show you this cool feature too. If I take here and drag it to the right, you can see I get the side menu. It's really smooth. It snaps nicely. If I pull it back, if I pull it out, I can tap the dark, it closes again. And if I pull out this menu, and I try to do the side menu too, now it doesn't get pulled. The side menu only gets pulled if that one is closed. So that's really nice too, you see? Smooth. Cool. Okay. And notably, this is also SwiftUI actually here. And if I open this one, this is also SwiftUI. Now it is finished and we can log out. Boom. And it's done. Okay, so second purpose, you can say, for this video was how I structure my files and folders, especially for this project. Of course, this may change depending on the size of your project, and if I add more features to my project, I will maybe create a custom framework or turn some of them into their own repositories. But for now, this is how I structure my files and folder in the Messenger clone application. So let's start with the files. So a lot of problems that I had when I started early on, and I saw YouTube content on how people organize their files, and especially their files, was that a lot of people, they did this. First, they create some component. They say like, let text field equal to a UI text field. Let's say with auto layout true. I have just custom extension, so I can add auto layout. And then they do it like this. They say set up views here, and they say set up constraints. And yes, I haven't implemented them yet, so they do it like this. They add a mark, and they say like views or set up views, and they do an extension on the view controller itself, and they say private func set up views. And then do the setup here, like view dot background color is equal to dot red, and the text, and we add view dot add subview text for itself, And then they do an extension here. I forgot to do mark constraints. You can, of course, do private on the extension itself, but I'm just lazy, so just keep it like that. Doesn't matter. Private func. Set up constraints. There you go. Okay, so should be small o. Did I miss here? Set up views. Set up views. There you go. So at constraints. Yeah, nice. So why am I not particular a fan of this? You could say there's nothing wrong with this approach. It just I find that when the project grows, it doesn't quite make sense to me, and I find that the code looks more clunky than nice. Because the purpose of doing this extension is to make things more organized, but I actually find it to be the opposite. So let me show you why. So let's say that we had we wanted this view controller to conform to the delegate of this text field. So we had to assign it, and then we do this extension view controller, and it conforms to the UI text field delegate and text. You can do that method. Okay. So let me just do this and UI text field delegate. Okay. And here's the problem. So when I make this view controller conform to this delegate, I'm extending the functionality of this view controller. And in other words, I'm extending what this view controller is capable of doing. But I don't find that quite true when I'm just setting up the views or constraining those views. That for me doesn't make, I haven't constrained it, so we can do that too. But that for me doesn't make sense. I have this automated, so I can just pin to. That for me, it doesn't make sense. Like there's nothing inherently wrong about it, but I find it clunky. And when as the file grows, I use the sitemap here much more. And the same goes for this too. So if we open this here, you can see view controller and the text field, the component, nice. And then the lifecycle, nice. And then we have an extension. The UI text field delegate. Okay, that makes sense. But then we have an extension for the setting up the views and constraints. Doesn't quite fit with me. And the same goes for this too. I've seen a lot, instead of creating a closure here where you can do all the setup, which makes also more sense to me. You would do it like this. Text field is equal to this closure and close it. So let text field equal to a UI text field with auto layout, true, and I can say text field of text is equal to hello, and return the text field. Now, if I add a mark here, I can say components, and I can do mark life cycle here. And now this makes much more sense. If we open it here, you have the components and we have the life cycle, and where the components is declared, I also do the setup inside the components, and that makes it more clear to me, because now I can go here and I know exactly how this component is set up. If I have to go to the extension again to see how it is set up, I don't find it to make sense. This setup function for me would fit a lot more better here, where I would do setup and private func set up. Let's do it small. Setup, and then I will do both the view and the constraint here, and I will remove both of these. So I would only do view that adds sub view. Maybe I do some other if it's necessary. Maybe I'll I'll add some other features too, but in itself, I will do view.add subview here, and then I do the text field itself, and then I would constrain that text field. So text field dot just pin it to the view. And if I want to use the delegate, I just do that here. No problem. Delegate is equal to it like that. Self itself. And it should work. And if you look at this, you may be wondering, yeah, it doesn't really matter, but it's because this file is so small. But if we close this out and I show you my project. Okay, so here we have the messenger project. And now I can show you what I mean. So you look at this view controller here, which is a little more complicated and has more lines. You can see things are much more organized. If you look at the side map here, we have the components, we have the properties, we have the lifecycle, the setup, some binding I do, private methods, actions, and then here we have the delegate at the bottom. So if I read here, since I created these, especially these components, I created them in the closure here. It looks much more organized rather than if I did this setup in a function, in setup, in an extension. Again, I will find it harder to read. Now it's easier. I know exactly how this works, this two, and these are my custom either view. Yeah, view. All these are actually view controllers. So, and the same goes for here too. If I tap now here, you can see it should, there you go. Now you see at the top, we have the components. Maybe I can zoom it a little bit in so it's better. If you see at the top here, we have the components. You see search controller, backdrop view, main view, content state view controller, content view controller, result view controller, side menu view controller. Then we have the properties. I am not going to read them all. And then we have the life cycle. You can see the initializer, the required initializer, view did load, then the setup. Go to the setup, it's just easy. I just things for the view. I just set up this button here because it was unnecessary to create this as a component and just add it. No more needed. And the same goes here now. If I go here now, you have the binding, we have the private methods, the action, and now you see the delegate are extensions for themselves. I find this much more readable than if we just move this setup here and just throw it in here. It will make no sense to me. So go here, and now we have extended the functionality of this class and added this did tap method because it conforms this custom delegate that I made. Oh, it's too big. I can go a little bit back. And the same goes here. You can see the UI gesture recognizer delegate. I do some things here. Oh, and it begin. But yeah, you see. And that for me makes just a lot more sense when it comes to how I structure a Swift file itself. So now, let me show you how I structure my folders also. So what I have seen a lot is this. So most people, they organize, I've seen a lot of people do this, they organize with having a utilities, which would be like helper files, extensions, errors, custom dependencies, and so on. And they have then the app, which will be model, and then they set it as model and another folder as view model and views. And I don't like it. I've seen it a lot. So they do it like this. They have a model, go back, view model, go back, and views, or view, doesn't matter. So, and also one of the problem with this is that I've been recommended by other, when I've seen YouTube tutorials, to have the view itself having a one-to-one relationship with the view model. And what I mean by that is that they want to have each view to have one view model. So for every view, you have a view model. That for me makes no sense because there are certain views that are really complicated that would look really bad if you didn't move some of that logic code into a view model. It just gets so messy. But there are other simple views, like in the onboarding of my application, or you can say the authentication process. Not a lot is happening during each view controller when I just write my name in and go to the next, and write my email in and go to the next. When I do that, there is no need for me to have a view model in a lot of those view controllers. So if I just force myself to have it, this makes no sense. And what a lot of people also do, they create every view model as a class too, which a lot of time you don't need it. There are of course situations when you need it, but if you don't need a class, why create it? Structs are much more lightweight and it will be better for your application. So, like I said, with this growing, when my application started, when I made other applications earlier, and I followed this file structure, it just got clunky so fast it didn't look good at all. So I have a different approach, which was inspired by. I can show you this. Where is it? Here it is. This application, which is called Fin.no. They're open source, and it's the best application here in Norway. They are actually the same as Craigslist, eBay, and Zillow, plus like car dealership, I think, and a lot more combined to one application. It's fantastic. So, what I decided instead to do was, in my app folder, I have base components, I have base view, I have cells, I have child views, I have components, I have containers, and full screen. And the one that's more interesting related to like MVVM will be this full screen. So if I have a simple view controller like this add email view controller, I just have it for itself. It doesn't need anything else because I don't use a view model here and I don't use a model too. So why force myself to have a view model next to it? This makes no sense. But if I have a complicated full screen, I turn that name of that full screen into a folder and I add everything related to the full screen. That will be, in this case, a view model, a view controller, a content view controller, a view model for this component too. And I also have for the types here too, because this is a difficult data source and having it in a separate file makes it looks nicer. So, but if I have models that are used across the application, so if I had a model that was not only used here in the chat, I will move it just to a more generic place, which will be here, models. So here, user public, I use it everywhere. So I put in its own folder. There's no reason for me to have this user public or this user private in this full screen folder for the chat when I use it other places like in the new message, I think, and search results and messages. This to me makes it much clearer and much easier to navigate and add new features and components as the project grows. Same goes for here too. Things I use everywhere like base views, they stay here for themselves. They're all base. I'm going to change this one, but they are all starting with base and they are as simple as possible. Same goes for the components. All these are base too and just disable text field. Same goes for the menu control and the padding label is only focused on that, smooth. And then I have the cells for themselves and I have child views for themselves. This will be actually the child view controllers that I use everywhere. And same goes for what I said, the full screen too. So that is how I organize my files and folders. If you did find this interesting and you like or have any questions, if you have any questions or you want me to cover a topic, just leave a comment down below. And other than that, just subscribe and leave a thumbs up. Thank you.